Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about Joe Biden and how he has thrown down the gauntlet to Vladimir Putin. They had a Zoom conference, if you will, last night, and this is all about the Ukraine and the potential invasion of Russia into Ukraine. They are massing troops on the border there literally as we speak. So we're going to talk about how Biden is warning Putin not to go into the Ukraine, and I can imagine Joe Biden is all aflutter right now, all of Twitter or whatever. And then something I wish I didn't have to report, something I've been telling you was going to happen and apparently is going to happen. No big surprise. GOP, the Republicans, are on the verge of caving in again to the Democrats and giving them a major victory in Congress, and we'll explain all of that in just a minute. And then, of course, Ocasio-Cortez, I mean, literally, she seems to be in the news every day now. She's kind of the power in the House of Representatives, and one of my axioms is these progressives never, ever give up. They never rest on their laurels. They continue to push. They act as if they're in control, and maybe they are, but progressives never give up. And Ocasio-Cortez is pushing amnesty once again, and we'll explain that. But before we go any further, I got to take a little point of personal privilege. Today is my lovely wife Charlene's birthday. I won't tell you how old she is. She's quite a bit younger than me. As you can tell, there's a picture of us from about a year ago, me hugging her. Happy birthday, Charlene. I love you very, very much, and I'm so blessed for my entire family. We've got 6 kids and now 6 grandchildren, but that means two of the kids don't actually have grandchildren yet. But my youngest grandchild is less than a month old, and my oldest grandchild is like a teenager now. So we run the gamut. But happy birthday to my lovely wife. Join in, chime in on Facebook, wherever you're watching, and wish her a happy birthday. Even if you don't like me, you got to love every man needs a nurse, and she's in the home health care business, takes care of elderly people on a daily basis. It's very, very blessed to have that special person in my life. All right, let's get on with the show. And at this portion of the show, I always tell you about opportunities that I have for you, my loyal listeners. Look above the video, no matter when or where you're watching it, and you will see a link to Big Daddy Unlimited, BDU. Click on that link, follow the directions, and you will get factory direct pricing on all things Second Amendment, from guns and ammunition in stock delivered directly to your door to over 100,000 related items from Big Daddy Unlimited. You can't go wrong. And if you want to see just how good a deal you can get, check out the show that precedes us at 10 o'clock Eastern Time on John Martin Talks Facebook page and our excluded Facebook page. To get to that, you spell excluded by dropping the E, spell it with the big X, excluded, and you'll see Denny's Deals at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. He comes on 15, 20 minutes or so, and he takes a few products from the Big Daddy Unlimited arsenal, demonstrates them, talks about them, but then he shows you the factory direct pricing you would get if you were a member of Big Daddy Unlimited. Once you see just how much you can save, get excited. I know you will. Go back above our video. It's important to click on the link for on our video, because you're helping yourself and you're helping the show. Click on that link, follow the directions, and that pricing will be yours. And nothing says I love you more than a little stocking stuffer like guns and ammunition and other related items. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show. This first story comes to you via Breitbart. Biden warns Putin he will be tougher than Barack Obama to to protect Ukraine. Oh, really? So this is an actual shot. I think this picture, though, was actually released by the Russians because Biden and his group would not allow any press to be in there and cover it and everything else. So, you know, it makes you wonder what they're hiding. They're hiding Joe Biden. That's what they're doing. They've been hiding him for a long time. President Joe Biden warned Russian President Vladimir Putin that he would be tougher than former President Barack Obama on the issues of Ukraine as the two leaders spoke on a video call on Tuesday. Well, you know, I don't know how exactly to take that because I don't believe that Joe Biden is president right now. Now, I'm not talking about, before you get to banning me and canning me and all that, I'm not even talking about voting and vote. We don't say the F word here. We say mod. I'm not talking about voter mod and all that. And I'm not even saying that Joe Biden didn't get the most ballots. I'm saying that man, Joe Biden, is not physically, mentally capable of being president of the United States. Yes, he occupies the office, but I truly believe that there are puppet strings behind him. They literally created a false stage for him in the White House so he could read off the teleprompter. But I believe that Joe Biden is actually the third term of Obama. Because see, people talk about Biden's agenda. I think Biden's already gotten his entire agenda done, and that was simply to be president. He's been running for president for like 50 years, and he finally got there. And I'm not disputing any of that, so don't bash me, don't ban me or whatever. I'm simply, and I'll repeat it, saying that Joe Biden, the shell of a man he once was, is not capable of running the office of presidency on a day-to-day basis. And even his hand, I mean, he gets less than one public or less than one appearance a day kind of thing. But I want to play you a video. This is an oldie goldie because Biden certainly has a unique connection to the Ukraine. Check out this video. It's from back when Biden had just I don't think he was actually vice president. This was during the 2016 election when this came out, and he was reasonably competent or coherent at this time. Listen to this because he's talking about Hunter Biden, his son, and how he pulls strings to get an investigation by the Ukrainian government crushed in order to protect his son. Check it out.
Corruption. They made, I'll give you one concrete example. I was, not I, but it just happened to be, that was the assignment I got. I got all the good ones. So I got Ukraine. And I remember going over convincing our team, or others, to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And
he got
put
fired.
In place someone.
He got fired. He got fired, and little Hunter Biden got off the hook. Let me just tell you some significance of that video. First of all, most people haven't seen that video. The mainstream media never plays it. There is more evidence in that video of quid pro quo with Ukraine, of course, what the first impeachment of Donald Trump, the bogus one, was all about. There's more evidence in Biden's own admission of quid pro quo while he was vice president at the time than anything that Donald Trump was even accused of. And so shouldn't Biden be impeached? I mean, you take Biden as his word, he should be resigning from president because he said anybody who presided over 200,000 COVID deaths should be disqualified from being president. And the last I checked, we're at about 350,000 COVID deaths under Biden, so he should be gone anyway. And also a key point in that video that never hardly gets mentioned is he implicates Barack Obama in the same conspiracy, right? He says, hey, call him if you want to talk to him about that. And we're going to play a little video later about Obama as well. But after the meeting, talking about this Zoom meeting with Vladimir Putin, after the meeting, Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, said the president warned Putin not to repeat his incursion into Ukraine territory after he annexed Crimea in 2014 when Obama, and of course Biden was vice president, Obama was president and Biden was vice president. So basically Biden is saying, that Sullivan is saying this, that President Biden looked into the eyes of Putin. I don't know if he saw his soul or not, but he looked into the eyes of Putin and said, it ain't going to be like it was when Barack was here. We're going to be tough. And I'm sure based on everything that Putin saw coming out of Afghanistan and everything else, he believes that 100%, right? But listen to what Sullivan said. Let me make sure I get his title correct. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. He said, I will look you in the eye and tell you, as President Biden looked President Putin in the eye and told him today, that things we did not do in 2014, we are prepared to do now. This is what he said to a group of reporters. Now, that wouldn't be too hard to do more than what they did in 2014 with Obama. Because if you remember, Obama, Russia actually invaded the Ukraine, not threatening, but did, and took the Crimea over and still holds it to this day. And Obama gave them blankets. He gave the Ukrainians blankets. Now, I'm sure they need blankets. Of course, Trump gave them missiles when he was in there. But, he was supposedly soft on the Russians. But, right now, Putin is shaking in his boots to get this threat from Biden that it's going to be a lot tougher on you than we were during the Obama administration. So I guess the Harris-Biden administration is going to scare Putin right. Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, said Biden would deploy clear and decisive actions, including economic sanctions to punish Russia if they invaded the Ukraine, and maybe take the blankets back from the Ukrainians. I don't know. But I like it says clear and decisive actions. When you think of Mr. Biden, do the term clear and decisive action actually is that on the top of your list of things to say? But Sullivan went on to say the measures we have put on the table are designed to show the Russian government that should it choose to engage in such an invasion, there will be those consequences. Well, this is going to have little to no effect whatsoever on Vladimir Putin and whether he decides to invade the Ukraine. Does anybody actually think that a threat from Joe Biden is going to sway Putin one way or another? In fact, it might encourage him, if anything. But Biden, if you really wanted to hurt Putin, Biden had every opportunity to keep Putin in line, but he actually went the other way and gave Putin a gold mine. Because remember, Biden canceled the XL pipeline, made us energy dependent once again, and actually approved a pipeline that Donald Trump had put on hold for Russia to Germany. Now, the significance of this is that Russia gets pretty much all of their money from petroleum products, from selling of gas and oil and other petroleum products. And they get most of that from the EU and Germany. So if you wanted to squeeze Putin, you wouldn't have approved this pipeline. So they're all full of crap, and Putin knows this, man. He is taking it to the bank. I'm not saying that he's going to invade the Ukraine, but it's certainly not, if he doesn't, it won't be because he's afraid of what Biden will do, that's for sure. Biden's staff did not permit journalists to witness the beginning of the call or take pictures of the event, but they issued a readout afterwards. That's why I say I believe that picture was released by the Russians. But of course they didn't they didn't allow the reporters in there because they got to keep Joe Biden in the basement, basically. Have you noticed that Biden speaking in front of the microphone is very orchestrated, very controlled, very choreographed, if you will. He doesn't take questions, rarely if ever, and then he says, well, I'm going to get in trouble if I do this. And they issue a lot of statements, because Biden looks a whole lot better in a statement than he does in person, that's for sure. But this is from the readout, so to speak. President Biden reiterated his support for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity and called for de-escalation and a return to diplomacy, the White House said after the call. Now, Biden didn't say that. The statement said that. So, Billy Bob asked me a question while I was reading that out when I was doing my notes. If you hadn't met my psychic sidekick, this is Billy Bob Bass. He doesn't say much. We got a psychic connection. But he's got a Twitter handle. It's at Billy Bob Bass 1, and mine is at John Martin Talks. We're determined to stay in the public square, social media, and everything else. So we need your help because we're under the gun. We're being, shadow banned and outright banned and put in Facebook jail from time to time and YouTube jail. I guess it's a badge of courage. They won't even tell me, or honor. They won't even tell me what we do. But we're on Rumble, by the way. We're live streaming on Rumble now every day. Good morning, Rumblers and YouTubers. How you doing? Glad to have you on. But please go to Rumble if you have it and subscribe to our show there, because it has become the free speech zone. These other places are not, but Rumble appears to be, and so we're honored to be on there. But Billy Bob was asking me, he's kind of confused. He said, so let's read this part again that Billy Bob said he's confused about. It says, President Biden, this is the statement from the White House after this Zoom meeting with Putin over Ukraine. President Biden reiterated his support for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. So, and I'm kind of agreeing with Billy Bob on this. So I'm a little confused. Sovereignty and territorial integrity, that actually matters? Because you could have fooled me if you actually look at what the Biden administration is doing. I guess it's another form of promises made, promises kept, because remember what Joe Biden, then candidate Joe Biden, promised he would do one of the first things he said he would do if he was president was this right here. Check it out.
That we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come. I would, in fact, make sure.
So he's saying that the first thing he's going to do as president is to surge the border. And you got to give him credit in a way, promise made, promise kept, because isn't that pretty much exactly what has happened and is happening at our border right now? So I guess sovereignty and territorial integrity only matter in the Ukraine. I think they matter to every country, but it doesn't seem like they matter much here in the United States. Because they're trying to destroy the United States and they want to save the Ukraine. So when you want to save a country, in sovereignty and territorial integrity matter. And if you want to destroy it, not so much, right? Should we go to war? Here's the bottom line on this. Should we go to war over the Ukraine? Because, economic sanctions, if Russia wants to go in there, they're going to go in there regardless of economic sanctions. And the big sticking point in all of this is that Russia, and from their perspective, I can understand that. I'm not condoning, I understand it. They don't want the Ukraine to join NATO. And they're basically saying if they try to join NATO, we're going to stop it, right? And here's the thing, should we allow the Ukraine to join NATO? Because if they do, first of all, I'm not sure they'll pay their bills. I wonder what the NATO is doing now under Biden, because when Donald Trump was in there, he caused all kind of controversy because he simply asked them to honor the agreement and pay their fair share, and that was totally controversial because, the United States is only popular when we are the world's piggy bank, and we're probably pretty popular right now with Biden. But this whole thing about whether or not the Ukraine should get into NATO, understand this, if you go by the strict interpretation of the NATO agreement, if the Ukraine came in and was a member of NATO and they were attacked by anyone, including Russia, it would be our obligation and commitment to defend them. And I'm not, this is not a negative about the Ukraine, but do we really want American lives to be in jeopardy standing up for the Ukraine? I don't know. I don't personally, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think we should expand NATO personally, because for a lot of reasons, but that is right at the top of the list. So tell me what you think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we should put American lives and blood and treasure on the line over Ukraine. I don't think we should, but you tell me if I'm right or wrong. The real Russia hoax, though, they talk about the Russia hoax, you know, and the Moscow project and all that, and all this thing on Trump. The real actual, if you want to call it, it's not really a hoax, I guess it's more like an actual conspiracy, is this idea that Biden is standing up to Russia. He's not. He's not. He never has, and I don't think he ever will, regardless of words, because words mean very little when it comes to standing up. But I mean, Trump, for instance, is accused of being in the pocket of Vladimir Putin, but he sent weapons, lethal weapons of destruction to the Ukrainians to defend against the Russian. The Obama and Biden administration sent blankets and probably some chicken soup or something like that. And not only that did Donald Trump send lethal weapons, but he actually killed Russians. If you remember, he actually attacked a base in Syria and actually killed Russians with U.S. forces, Air Force missiles. Okay? So if you're talking about standing up to Russia, I actually think the hoax, if that's the right word, is this concept that somehow Trump was in the pocket of Putin and that Biden is now standing up to Russia. It's nonsense. And I told you about Obama. I want to play you this video. A lot of people haven't seen this. This is back when Barack Obama was in his second term as presidency. He was at this summit and he was talking to Medvedev, which then was the prime minister, I think, of Russia at that time. And it's kind of hard to hear, but he tells Medvedev to send a message to Vlad, talking about Vladimir Putin. Listen to this.
This is my last election. Yeah, after my election, I have more flexibility.
Yeah, I understand. I transmit this information to Vladimir and understand what.
So he's saying there that after I get reelected to my second term, I'll have more flexibility. And he said, and then Medvedev said, I'll pass this on to Vlad. There, ladies and gentlemen, in that 2-minute video is more evidence in Russian collusion, in collusion with a sitting president of the United States of America. Keep in mind that you have Barack Obama admitting that he's kind of keeping his powder dry. He'll work with Vladimir once he's reelected. That sounds like collusion to me. I'm not saying he should have been impeached, but it definitely sounds like collusion. And Biden, quid pro Joe, in the video we played at the top of the show, admits that he actually used and held up over $1 billion in funds for Ukraine, basically blackmailing them into firing the prosecutor that was investigating his son on the Burisma board. In Ukraine, this gas and oil industry board. So there is more evidence of Russian collusion in this Barack Obama video, and more quid pro quo, pay to play in the Biden video than anything that Donald Trump was accused of, let alone actually did. So I mean, these people are just crazy, and what's really crazy is how the media doesn't cover it. That's why you've got to watch shows like ours. That's why I tell you all the time, not everybody can be a fighter like me and Billy Bob and all of the people behind the scenes that make this show possible. Not all of us can be fighters. We're fighters, but everybody can support those people in the fight. And we're going to give you more ways to do that in the not too distant future. But right now you could go above the video to Big Daddy Unlimited, click on that and check it out, become a member, and that would help the show tremendously and help yourself. All right, let's move along here. This next article comes to you via The Hill. And this is something, ladies and gentlemen, that I've been telling you was coming. I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. I don't even know if I'm disappointed. I guess I am, but I expected this. So how can you be disappointed when you get what you expect? Not what I wanted, by the way. This is from the Hill. Senate GOP predicts it'll have 10 votes for debt ceiling, to raise the debt ceiling. And there is our great representative, our GOP leader in the Senate, the minority leader, Mitch Turtlehead McConnell. I really believe that describes him pretty well. Got a turtle head poking out. Top Senate Republicans are predicting they'll get enough GOP support to help advance a deal on debt ceiling as Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell pitches his caucus on the agreement. I never doubted it because bipartisanship, right? I tell you all the time, bipartisanship simply means Republicans cave. Now, I know what the textbook definition is, but you tell me, is there ever a time, and I put this challenge out pretty regular, and it's never really taken on, is there ever a time where Republicans were adamantly for something and them old Democrats were adamantly opposed to it? And the Democrats said, you know, them old effers up there, them Republicans, they're actually right, and came to the Republican side. It never happens, but it literally happens on a daily basis the other way around, where Democrats are adamantly for something, Republicans put up this big front, oh, we're not going to do it this time. Even, I hate to say it, but even Donald Trump has been guilty of that when he was president, because remember, he said he wasn't going to sign any more of those continuing resolutions, and one of the last things he did before he left office was, guess what? Sign a continuing resolution. I think we're addicted to government largesse myself. And I know about addiction. I used to work at a drug treatment center, and I can tell you, because one of the things where they talk about insanity, right, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So we're insane for thinking that we're going to get different results, but they're not insane because they're doing exactly what they want to do. That's why people like Mitch McConnell was never a Trumper. He never was for Trump because he believes presidents come and go and the likes of him, and that's why he can work with Chuck Schumer so well, because they stay there forever, right? I mean, presidents come and go. Those feeding at the trough at the Senate level and everywhere else, they just switch places. It's like musical chairs up there. It's sad, really sad for us. But I never doubted that the Republicans were going to cave on this. And if you're kind of confused about what I'm talking about lifting the debt ceiling. We haven't had a budget really in forever. We have these continuing resolutions, and the budget just keeps growing, or the expenses keep growing and growing and growing, even though we've had record tax collections over the last few years, maybe pandemic aside. But the deficit keeps growing under both Republicans and Democrats, and we don't really do a good job of holding them accountable. But this idea of raising the debt ceiling, they talk about the full faith and credit of the American government. We're going to default and all that. That is all nonsense. I've told you before that I'm always going to tell you when we're being played. Let me read this and we'll get into that. Under the deal, the House and the Senate will first need to pass a bill that sets up a subsequent one-time simple majority vote to raise the debt ceiling. Like I say, I told you when we were being played. I want to play you a video right now. I played it a few times before. You really never see this on the mainstream media, but this is during some hearings a month or so ago. Senator Kennedy, I'm a big fan of his, from Louisiana. He's putting Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, on the spot. But what you really need to hear this is that we don't need a deal to raise the debt ceiling. That's the key to what you're about to hear. The Democrats could do it without Republicans. They don't need Republican support. And if you doubt me, listen to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. Check it out.
What party controls the House?
The Democrats.
What party controls the Senate?
The Democrats.
I believe we can agree that President Biden is a Democrat.
I believe.
Okay. Senator Schumer, who's a Democrat, and my friend, controls the Senate floor. And he can raise the debt ceiling by just amending the budget resolution, can't he?
It's possible that that could be done.
Yes, ma'am. So why didn't he do it? Why don't y'all do it?
Because
and then
this
we
is-
don't. Let me
because
finish.
this is-
Let me just finish. Why don't y'all just do it and then we don't have this fight?
Because
Why
this-
do you insist on doing it
That's
the
good
hard
enough.
way?
That's good enough. So she admits right there that the Democrats, now this is the Treasury Secretary, she's probably one of the, I don't agree with, I don't particularly care for, but she's probably one of the most competent people in the Biden administration, to be honest with you, probably one of the most qualified to be in her position. But she admits, and I give her credit, she admits that the Democrats could raise the debt ceiling on their own. And she's going in, this video is still playing, but Senator Kennedy asked her why they don't do it, and she goes into a reasonable explanation as to why. She actually says that basically the deficit was caused by both parties, and both parties should have the courage, I'm just paraphrasing, to get behind it. And she's absolutely right in that sense. But what the Republicans need to do, because we've never seen spending like's happening under the Biden administration, and so what the Republicans were squawking about and talking about doing was to force the Democrats to raise the debt ceiling on their own to highlight the fact that they're the reason why the deficit keeps growing. I thought it was a smart political move, but I knew at the time it would be a long shot that they would actually have the political cojones to do it. And I think we're seeing yesterday and today and over the next few days that I was right, and that not all Republicans, but enough of them are going to cave in to raise the debt ceiling. It's crazy. Let me just explain something very quickly here. I've talked about this a lot, so I'm not going to get too in depth in it. You can watch our podcast. The best way to watch our podcast is to go to your app store and get the Excluded app. Excluded, spell excluded by dropping the E, put the big X up there, Excluded, and you'll find our shows archived there on a daily basis, as well as a lot of original program. But what I've talked about is this idea, and I tell you all the time that when we're being played, I'm going to tell you we're being played. And when it comes to this raising the debt ceiling and the term, that we're going to, we got to raise the debt ceiling or risk default and the full faith and credit of, I think that's how they say it, of the United States of America, that is 100% total BS. Yes, I said that. It is total BS, total baloney, total malarkey, as Biden used to say. It is 100% false. Now, there's a lot of reasons, but let me just cut it real short. It is not possible for our government to default on the deficit. It is not possible unless we're totally broke. That's the only way. Because by law, and you never hear this on the mainstream media, you don't even hear it too much from conservative media, by law we cannot default on it. There's enough money coming into the Treasury right now to pay our debt service, period. And that is required under federal law. You can't spend it on something else. And so basically it is against federal law right now to not pay our debt service. Does that mean that programs wouldn't have to be cut, that we wouldn't have some chaos and everything else? Yeah, of course we would. Some of that would probably be better, but we would definitely pay our debt. So when they tell you that we're going to renege on our debt if we don't up the debt ceiling, it is false and a flat out lie. Tell me where I'm wrong. But listen to this. It says the majority party has to raise the votes to raise the debt limit, and the Democrats know that, and they are willing to do it. We think that's perfectly appropriate way to handle it, said Senator John Thune of South Dakota, a Republican, by the way, the number 2 Senate Republican. And so, tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's sad. It's sad that so few of the elected officials, including Republicans, actually care about you, the American people. We're being lied to, and we need to hold them accountable for it. But it's hard to know. It's hard when not everybody's a political junkie. That's one of the things. If you want people to understand what's happening, make them an assignment. Email our show to them, something like that. Tell them, hey, watch this guy for a week. Like Rush Limbaugh used to say all the time, watch him, and then tell me what you think about it. But so few people are actually being educated as to what's really happening, because most of the American people, probably if they even think about it, believe that if we don't raise the debt ceiling, we're going to default on our debt obligations. Simply not true, man. Check it out. But Thune added that he believed they would be able to get 10 GOP votes for the deal at bipartisanship. And I could probably tell you who those are. We'll wait and see. But bipartisanship always means Republicans cave, and they are about to cave right now. And if he expected, and let me give you a little bit, people say I don't, I'm not harsh enough on President Trump. And there's reasons for that. First of all, I got a man crush on the guy, and I think he's the greatest president we've had certainly in my lifetime. And I wish he was still there, and there's plenty of people piling on him that I don't have to pile on more. But Donald Trump did come out this week, yesterday I think it was, and say that the Republicans should not pass the debt ceiling, right? And he's right. I agree with him 100%. But I would not be honest in dealing with you if I didn't say that when Donald Trump was actually president, he talked about it, he squawked about it, but when it came to deficit spending and raising the debt ceiling, he actually approved these omnibus bills and continuing resolutions and all that, right? And it's because we are addicted to government largesse. So, in fairness to people, yes, Donald Trump, that's one of my biggest, if not my biggest disappointment in President Trump, was that he wasn't more of a deficit hawk. He talked a good game. Now, naturally, he didn't have the help. There was a lot of forces against him, the media, the never-Trumpers, the majority, probably the Republican Party at that time, and of course, all the Democrats. But so what? I mean, he stood up against a lot. He could have stood a little more boldly against that, and I know that will disappoint some people that I would even mention that, but I'm an honest broker. Ask if he expected 10 Republicans. This is from Roy Blunt from Montana, I think. Is it Montana? Yeah, I believe it is. Ask if he expected 10 Republicans would support the deal. Senator Roy Blunt, the number 4 Senate Republican, said, I would expect that's what happens. It happened last time and maybe more. So he's telling you, this is par for the course. This is go along, get along. This is what they do. And here's the question I have, kind of going back to what I was just talking about a minute ago. Does it really matter? Does it really matter if they raise the debt ceiling or not? They're going to raise it. They know they are. Does it matter if we actually have a balanced budget? Does any of that matter? I think it matters. But here's where it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we the people, not Joe Biden we the people, but the real we the people, if we don't hold these people accountable, if we don't have time to get educated about this and actually cast votes and rally around people who actually believe in a balanced budget and all that, then it doesn't matter, because they're just going to keep doing it. It's all a big show, and they're going to take our dough. That's just the way it is. Chuck Schumer, the majority leader, God, it breaks my heart to say that, but there's no difference between him and Mitch McConnell, indicated earlier this week that talks with McConnell were going well. I bet they really are. It's swell, right? I mean, what do you think they talk about behind the scenes? But Schumer said, we will also work to address the debt limit and preserve the full faith and credit, there's that term, of the United States. That really sounds good. It's total BS, but it sounds good. And I want to thank, this is Chuck Schumer, thank Leader McConnell for his cooperation in that regard. It's just the way things are, ladies and gentlemen. We're coasting at best. We are coasting when it comes to this. And guess what? I hate to break it to you, but the only way you can continue to coast is if you're going downhill. Now, if I could cast one single vote, if I could only cast one vote, my vote would be this right here. Check it out. I'd flush them all out. Now, I know that would flush out some good friends of ours and some good congressmen and women But I'd take that risk if we could just get them all out and get them gone. But the question really is, ladies and gentlemen, and this is where it comes back to us, the American people. Are we too far gone? Are we too far are we too addicted to government largesse that we cannot break free from it? Are we past repair? Is it only a God thing that could save us? I don't know. Can we save ourselves? Because I talk about it at the top of the show all the time. I talk about battling ignorance and apathy on a daily basis. And I talk about the experiment, which is this country called the United States of America. You know, we hadn't really been around that long. And we're that shining light on the hill. We're that candle in the darkness, that flicker of freedom and everything else. And all of that is true. But what I really worry about, and this is why I do the show on a daily basis, is that right there. That candle can blow out. It can go really quickly. And if we, the American people, if not us, who? And if not now, when? If we don't rise up and hold these people's feet to the fire, Republicans, Democrats, across the board, then this flicker of freedom will go out. And we will have no one to blame but ourselves. And I'm just telling you the truth. We can't blame Mitch McConnell's Chuck. They are what they are. It's my old daddy used to say, we get the government we deserve because we voted for it. If we can't wake up, half the country don't even care. Even with all the controversy happening politically, half the country is snoozing still. And if we continue to do so, then that candle will go out and we'll have no one to blame but ourselves. I'm going to keep fighting. Who's with me? All right, we got a couple minutes left. I want to bring you, I guess it's starting to be the Ocasio-Cortez story of the day. This is from the Washington Examiner. Ocasio-Cortez says Democrats should use full control of government to force through path to citizenship in the spending bill. So she's saying a big amnesty, millions of illegal immigrants to this country, that they should use the full force while they got time, because she's politically smart about this. I don't agree with her on it, but she's essentially saying, you know, we got the House, we got the Senate, we got the White House. If we don't do it now, and we got Republicans willing to cave, I mean, she might as well say that because it's true on this issue and every other issue, that if they don't do it now, they may not have the votes later. So she's actually politically smart about this. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called on Senate Democratic leaders on Tuesday to override the parliamentarian, because the Senate parliamentarian is saying they can't put this issue of amnesty inside of this spending package. And that's what they're saying. So Ocasio-Cortez saying override that and include a pathway to citizenship in President Joe Biden's $1.7 trillion Build Back Better legislation, which some people say it's even more than that. But see, ladies and gentlemen, why I bring this up to you and keep putting this up, and I know a lot of people out there, I talk about Ocasio-Cortez probably more than you want me to, because people say she's an idiot. She's not an idiot, by the way. She's a communist, and she's a socialist. But she's not an idiot. She knows exactly what she's doing. That's what scares me the most. You know, we talk about incompetence and stuff like that. I'm worried that they're totally competent and they're doing exactly what they plan to do. And keep in mind, this is why I bring up Ocasio-Cortez, because my only political goal right now in life is to stop the progressive takeover of this nation. That's my only political goal. So I judge you by that, probably unfairly, but I don't care if you're running for outhouse, White House, in between, appointed Park Avenue, park bench. I judge you based on whether you can help me stop the political political takeover of this country by the progressives, like Ocasio-Cortez. Because if we don't stop that, then it doesn't matter. Nothing else really matters, because they're going to keep winning. And they are winning. Even though we've won in like Virginia and places, if you look at the needle and where it's moving, we continuously move, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but we're continuing to move to the progressive left. Tell me where I'm wrong. Donald Trump didn't stop it. He slowed it down. He exposed it. If he'd have gotten a second term, and I hope he gets another chance, then maybe he can. But we better not wait on that. We can't afford to wait. We have to stop the progressive takeover of this nation. And if it not us, who? If not now, when? In her remarks to immigration activists outside the Capitol on Tuesday, the New York Democrat, speaking in both Spanish and English, said, we do have, listen to this, we do have a possibility. Don't let anyone tell you that the moment has gone. The possibility has gone away, that the opportunity is not here, because that is not true. And so she's a member of the squad. I call them the Twitter twats because I think it's more descriptive of it. And they are running the show. This next part right here is really kind of scary, and we'll kind of conclude the show on this. But this is what Ocasio-Cortez from her own lips say. You know, you can hear it and see it with your own eyes, right? The Senate needs to step up, she said, override the parliamentarian, in other words, break the Senate rules. We will not surrender our power. She understands they got power right now, to unelected parliamentarian. We need to use our power, and this is the part that gets me, but it really, you need to hear this. This is Ocasio-Cortez, love her, hate her, whatever. She's one of the most powerful political figures in the country. And she says, we need to use our power. Keep in mind, she's talking about providing amnesty and citizenship blanket whole to illegal immigrants. She said we need to use our power to help who? The people. To help the people. What people? We need to use our power to help the people. She's talking about helping people, and like I've told you many, many times, if I were an immigrant coming, an illegal immigrant coming from Guatemala, I'd be trying to get here too. I don't begrudge them, but we have an obligation. Elected officials like Ocasio-Cortez have an obligation to the American people. And they have forgotten that. It is high time we remind them who we, the people, really are. And so we have to get educated, motivated, activated, and eliminate some of these people. And even, you know, Republicans, we've got to get more politically astute. Because remember what Thomas Jefferson said, and this is one of the reasons I do the show. You want to be both ignorant and free. You want what never was and never will be. So if not us, who? If not now, when? If we don't rise up and stop the political takeover of this country by these dadgum progressives, then that candle, that flicker of freedom, is gone. And we will have nobody to blame but ourselves. I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please remember to look above our video and check out the opportunity you have for savings with BDU. Help yourself and help the show at the same time. I'll pray for your family. You pray for mine. Let's all pray for this great nation. From my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.